Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to take a look at the Transformers 2 series Rise of the Beast Core Class Exo-Suit Noah Diaz. Let me know what you think of this figure in the comment section down below. Is it a pickup or a pass? Now let's take a look at the figure's packaging. So here we have the packaging. Starting at the very front, we have Transformers on the side. We have Noah Diaz Exo-Suit in white text with a white Autobot symbol. We have Stu Series in black text with a black Autobot symbol. And we have the Transformers Rise of the Beast logo with an open window displaying the figure in the packaging. And if we do look at the top of the box, we have another Transformers Rise of the Beast logo with Stu Series in black text and a small image or artwork shot of Noah Diaz in his Exo-Suit. And if we do turn to the side, we have Core Class in several different languages with a blue Autobot symbol at the top, and Stu Series going down the side of the box with a small image again of Noah Diaz in his Exo-Suit. And if we do look at the back of the box, there's a product shot of Noah Diaz in his robot and his all mode, and the figure transforms in 7 steps. And as for the final side, just another image or artwork shot of Noah Diaz in his Exo-Suit. And that is pretty much it for the packaging, so let's now get into the review. Here we have Core Class Noah Diaz in his robot mode. Let's take a look at the details, starting at the very top with the head sculpt. Take a look at the really cool futuristic head sculpt with a really nice metallic blue for the entire kind of visors or T-section at the front there, with some really nice gunmetal gray for the entire helmet section. I do like all the really nice sculpt work with the really cool kind of circular sections at the ear section or kind of the ear region of the head. I do like the really cool kind of black windows or kind of squares at the chest with the really cool tubing and wiring. It really does look like, you know, the entire suit or Exo-Suit for Noah Diaz is just kind of made up of tons of panels and wires and metal. It actually looks very, very cool. I just like the really cool blade or sword, and if you're interested if it's removable, unfortunately it's not, which is a bit unfortunate in my opinion, because of course, since it's actually specifically only on this arm, the blaster, that is the included accessory that I'll show off in just a sec, can only go on the other arm. You cannot actually have the blaster on this arm and the sword at the same time. So it would have been nice, I think, if you could have had an option to put the sword, of course, on either arm and the blaster as well, but that is just my opinion anyway. But I do like the black and silver paint apps, and I love the metallic blue for the entire kind of wrist or form section with some more silver at the form as well. And of course the crotch and the waist mostly done in that kind of dark gray and light gray colors for the top of the legs, with some more of that silver metallic blue for the front of the legs. And I do like the gray for the huge feet or kind of boots, and it's actually pretty cool how they sculpted in some kind of toes, some metal toes or kind of boots there. And if we do look at the backpack, yes, it's a pretty bad backpack, and of course it is inaccurate to the Rise of the Beast film. Noah Diaz, when he was in the Exo-Suit, of course, spoiler alert, which is, you know, Mirage's pieces because he almost dies or is supposedly dead at the time. This is not on him, of course. He has a much more slim and slender design, which this entire backpack is removable, and I'll show off that feature in just a sec, but I think I probably will keep this on, because you do have to keep in mind, if you do remove this, you'll be left with a huge backpack off to the side, which you really don't know what to do with. I guess you could just put it in a bag and put it in your parts bin if you wanted to. I typically don't do that, so I probably will for my Rise of the Beast display just leave it on the figure. It is inaccurate, but I really don't know where else to put the backpack if I remove it. But that is it for details. Overall, really impressed for such a small thing of how detailed and intricate it is. Now for articulation, I do have to say I will be showing the articulation with the backpack on. If you do remove it, as I said, that was an option, the articulation probably is a tad bit better, you know, where the arms and the legs are concerned. The backpack does slightly get in the way, but I think for the most part, it overall pretty much is the same. It won't, you know, drastically change if you take that thing off. But starting at the head, of course, you can look up and down, tilt side to side to look left and right. The arms can move out and in, forward and back. And of course, there is a bicep rotation and an elbow bend. There is nothing out of the hand. And in case if you're interested if the articulation or the posability with the arms, you know, changes or differs, because of course one has the blade, one doesn't, it really doesn't change at all. Of course, the blade might possibly get in the way with posing because it's quite long, but of course the actual movement with the ball joints, it really doesn't change at all. As for the waist, it's actually on a ball joint, so of course you can pretty much rotate all the way around, and there is sort of a slight ab crunch. I guess you could say it's a very, very minor one. Of course, typically when we mention ab crunches, we're thinking of, you know, 3.0 figures like that, very expensive, you know, third party. Some Hasbro figures will have an ab crunch, but they're usually very expensive, but you would never expect to see it on a Core Class. It is, again, quite small, but still pretty cool to see on how small this figure is. And of course, the legs can kick forward and back. Out to the side, there is rotation at the top of the knee and the top of the leg. There is also a knee bend to a very good degree, and the foot actually has a pivot down, mostly due to transformation, and since it's on a ball joint, of course, you can really rotate any direction you want to, and of course also have that traditional ankle pivot, which could be a tad bit better. But let me just quickly straighten up the figure and place him down. So overall, pretty good articulation for a core class. As I've said before in previous core class reviews, I typically am not as picky with figures like these because of course you pay a lot less, which means of course Hasbro's going to spend a lot less to actually build it and make it. So you really can't have the same, expectations for a $10 or $12 figure as you would say a Commander class, which is like $90. So don't be too picky when it comes to these figures, but you can have ones. Just of course don't expect too much because you could get disappointed. But showing off that feature, we can remove the backpack. It's actually just really kind of a simple tab and slot connection. You just kind of wiggle it off the backpack like that. So you can see there's 2 tabs on the actual backpack and 2 slots right there. And you can just put the backpack off to the side. So there we have, a more simple, more accurate Noah Diaz with the Exo-Suit, which does look cool. I do quite like it, but to be honest, I've actually kind of grown used to the backpack, so he actually seems a bit too small now. He seems a bit too slender for my liking, so that's probably why I will leave the backpack on. But if you do want to see the backpack, removed or separate from the figure, this is what it looks like, which typically, again, I think if people are going to remove this, they're probably just going to put it in like a bag or a parts bin. But as for accessories, he does come with this small, cute little blaster, which I do quite like. I love the gunmetal gray, the metallic blue. I love this really nice orange paint apps on the kind of inner barrel part of the blaster. Really looks like it's about to, fire and attack Scourge or attack the Freezers or the Terracons, which is pretty cool. I am unaware if it is blaster piece compatible. I'm assuming so. It looks like that would fit a typical blaster piece. I'm not sure. You can try it out for yourself if you want. But since the blade is permanently attached to one arm, you really only have one choice. It has to be the other one. It's that typical post and port system. And I actually really do like the really cool effect it created when it's attached to the figure, because from most angles, it actually looks like it's transformed out of the form, which is actually kind of how it works in the Rise of the Beast film. Mirage does that, at the museum battle. He actually has his arms transform into the weapons, and Noah Diaz when he's in the Exo-Suit as well. One time, or kind of one view where it sort of ruins the look is if you do look at it from the bottom, because you can see the form there. So I think it would have been nice if they could have had like a panel maybe kind of fold around the form to complete the look, but maybe I'm just expecting too much. But that is pretty much it for accessories and this mode. Let's now get down to some comparisons. Starting off our comparisons, here we have the core class Noah Diaz compared alongside the core class RC, and I actually just realized recently that Noah Diaz and Novocaine might be the last core class figures from Rise of the Beast. Of course, there is supposed to be a sequel. It actually is supposed to be a trilogy, so there are supposed to be 2 more movies after the first one, so maybe once those are released, we could get some more core classes then, but for the time being, we actually might have to wait a while until we can get another Rise of the Beast themed core class, because there's really no small bots or small characters left to do in this scale or size. I suppose if they wanted to, maybe they could release like a core class Stratosphere. I think that'd be kind of a fun, cute idea to have a small, little plane. I guess maybe they could start doing some other core classes of like, their traditional characters like Bumblebee or Scourge. I think that would be kind of a fun idea, but I still do hope maybe in 2024 we can get maybe a Commander class or Leader class Stratosphere. And now for one final comparison, here we have the core class Noah Diaz compared alongside the deluxe class Bumblebee. And that is pretty much it for comparison, so let's now get down to transformation. So now for transformation, what you want to do is go to the form. There is actually a tab on the other side of the form, and there's a slot pretty much on the entire backpack or wing section of the figure. So you're just going to tab the entire form in, and of course, just repeat the exact same process on the other side. So just tab in the other form, just like that. Then you can actually flip to the backpack of the figure. You're going to grab the entire nose cone or cockpit region, and it's on this hinge, and you're just going to hinge this entire section up and pretty much to the back of the robot mode head. just like that. And then you can actually grab this entire other backpack section. It's on a hinge. You're just going to hinge this entire section down, and there is a post on that hinge. Hopefully you can see it's pretty deep in there, but there's also pretty much a port where the butt region of the figure is, and that is just going to plug into place. It's pretty hard to show, but you will hear like a click or kind of a notch sound like that. And then of course what you can do is there is actually 2 tabs on this backpack section, or this kind of wing section of the jet mode, and 2 slots at the back of the legs, and that will just tab into place like that. Then you can actually hinge the foot up using that ball joint or that hinge there. And then what you can do is actually go to the front. You can actually grab the included accessory. There is a port there, and there is a post on the inside of the weapon, and that will just plug into place like that. And as for the very last step, you're just going to grab the wings, just fully extend these out like that, and that is it for transformation. Let's now take a look at the details. Here we have Core Class Noah Diaz in his jet mode. Let's take a look at the details. Starting at the very front, I do like this really cool huge cannon done in orange and gunmetal gray paint apps, with a really nice cockpit done in whitish gray color with some black and blue paint apps. And I do like the really cool huge wingspan with the really nice kind of spikes at the tips of the wings, with the really nice blue striping and panel detailing as well. And kind of that same design and details repeated with this entire back section there. Probably my least favorite part of this jet mode is the feet. They really just kind of jut or stick out the back there. I think it would have been better if they kind of tried to fold them up or conceal them a bit better. Like maybe they could have tabbed into the underside of the wing, or just some other way. It definitely would have looked better. And if you do look at the bottom side, yes, it really doesn't transform that much. If you did skip the transformation section or segment of this review, as you can tell here, pretty much the entire backpack really just forms the entire top portion of the jet, and the robot pretty much stays the same. Really, the only major steps are kind of just pushing the feet out, and that's pretty much it. I guess if you wanted to, if you really don't like the feet like I do, you actually could just hinge them how they were before. Maybe that would look better, I don't know, but that really is it for the bottom. And of course the top I already did show you, and I already did cover accessory storage. The blaster can store at the front, as you can see here. If you don't like that, you could put off to the side if you want to, but I actually really like the way that looks. But as for some comparisons, here he is with the deluxe class Bumblebee, and I think they look pretty cool side by side. And for another Core Class comparison, here he is with Novocaine, and his review is coming very soon on the channel. And for one final comparison, another Core Class comparison, that being the Autobots Core Class RC, which I'm going to try and stand up. It can be kind of hard with that small little stand. You really just got to balance it the best you can, but there we go. And I think they look pretty cool side by side, but it could just be me, but I really think Hasbro should revisit RC and make her a deluxe. Yes, in the Rise of the Beast film, she probably was the smallest of the Autobots and the Terracons, pretty much of all of the Transformers characters in that film, but I really don't think in the alt mode and in, of course, the robot mode, she should be the same size as Noah Diaz or the Exo-Suit. So I definitely think she should get an updated figure. Maybe in 2024, Hasbro can revisit the character. And again, she was quite small. Most of the continuities, even in Transformers Prime, she was the smallest Autobot. It makes sense. She's very skinny and sleek, which is fine and all, but they could just make her, you know, a very small deluxe. Like Earthrise Cliffjumper, he was a deluxe, but he was a pretty small one. So I do hope they can revisit this character and give her a better figure. But that is it for comparisons and this alt mode. Let's now get down to the final thoughts. Now for my final thoughts on the Transformers Studio Series Rise of the Beast Core Class Exo-Suit Noah Diaz. Starting in the robot mode, I love the very futuristic head design with the nice gunmetal gray and metallic blue paint apps. I do like the huge blade or sword attached to the form, but it would have been nice if it was removable. As for accessories, Noah Diaz comes with one small blaster, which has some really nice cool orange paint apps on the inside of the weapon, which creates this really cool kind of burning fire effect. The blaster can be attached onto the figure's form, which creates this really cool effect where it looks like the weapon is transformed out of his arm. Noah Diaz does have some customization where you can remove the backpack to make him look a bit more screen accurate. As for articulation, overall the figure is highly posable, which is surprising considering how small the figure is. One very unexpected point of articulation is the ab crunch. As for the figure's tolerances, most of the figure's joints are ball joints, so for now most of them are tight but probably won't last long term. Transformation is very straightforward, basically just tabbing everything into the backpack to form the jet mode. The jet mode is cute and fun, of course, isn't accurate to the Transformers Rise of the Beasts film, so Hasbro just kind of came up with themselves, but maybe in the sequel, Noah Diaz will transform. What do you think of this figure? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I will see you next time.